Ireland at Wembley. And here he is, with Waddle joining Beardsley in the middle, and Hoddle. Is Waddle jumping? Wilkins looking to collect on the edge of the area and squeeze a shot in, and had Dassaev plunging to his left. That looked, from our angle, as though it might have crept in, but for the goalkeeper.
It certainly was a good effort. I mean, he did well against Bugnoff, the big, massive defender at the back post there. Waddle, he was quite brave there. Yes, I think it would have gone. Dassaev did well to get across.
Right for England. Back for Butcher. Ray Wilkins close to breaking a long run without an international goal. Last one came against Northern Ireland more than 4 years ago. And here is the England captain. And it's Beardsley. By flinging himself at it, he forced the error by the defender Kuznetsov, and England have another corner.
There's another superb run by Beardsley. He's probing all the time. He's giving Wilkins and Hoddle targets to hit. And that's the good thing. They're bright up front. They're making good moves.
Butcher again joining Wright in the near post area, and Mark Wright got to it and in fact deflected it just too much. Hoddle. Alenikov. Easily picked off by Sansom. Zavarov. Forward from Rodionov, Kondratiev, and Rodionov finally hit by Kuznetsov. The defender who did well to support his front players then. But Shilton not with a shot on target to deal with. Kuznetsov couldn't keep his effort down. The two teams have seen quite a lot of each other over the past 3 days. They've been sharing the same hotel. There's certainly been a Soviet presence at every England training session, so that hasn't upset Bobby Robson. Zavarov. Kuznetsov getting forward again, although this is Besanov. And he is very much stronger on his right-hand side, and that effort won't have been appreciated by Malofeyev, the goal scorer himself in his playing days, a Russian international, 41 caps. As you can see, the ball went straight out of play for a throw on the far side, taken by Viv Anderson. Hoddle. Flick from Beardsley, and it's a good one too. Picking out Wilkins. Cowans with Sansom steaming up in support. Waddle's checked in field. Here he is. And maybe Hoddle's shot in the end. It's a little dink pass. Sansom is adjudged offside, but that might have been a harsh decision. The ball was in the air quite a long time. The Soviet Union, in fact, have made 6 changes from the side which lost 1-0 in Mexico recently. 4 of the players from Dynamo Kiev, 3 from Spartak Moscow, and 3 from Minsk. So there should be a good club feeling in their play. Bugnoff. Gotsmanov. 2 waiting for the cross. And the header from Kondratiev only passed a yard or so wide. Kondratiev had gone to the near post. Rodionov was checking out towards the far side.
That's the problem, really, when you get forwards defending in deep positions. He beat Hoddle rather easily there. He's not a good defender, I don't think, Hoddle, to be fair. And in the previous attack, when the wild shot went in to the far side, it was Waddle who succumbed to a Soviet surge down on the right. They've got to be strong when they're challenging. The Russians are very, very powerful players.
And they're looking particularly powerful down their left-hand side. But it's Waddle for Anderson. There's a pleasing ebb and flow about the match now. Alenikov. Zavarov. And Demyanenko will hair down that touchline, and he's done brilliantly to keep the ball in play. Sansom knows too much to be fooled into giving away a corner. He could let it run. But David, you sense that England have got to do something on that far side.
Well, once again there, when he made that break, Demyanenko, it was Waddle that was forced back with him, and once again he got inside of him, was able to put the ball across deep on the far side. No, I think we're doing okay, but we've just got to keep control of the ball and slow the tempo down and make sure that we're keeping possession and that we're playing into these front people's feet.
If you've just joined us, and I'm sure a lot of people are at this time of the day, half an hour gone, and England are holding the Soviet Union goalless here in Tbilisi. And the significant incidents really to this point, a penalty that England didn't get when Gary Lineker seemed to be felled by Dasayev, the Soviet goalkeeper, and a penalty missed by the Soviet Union when Chivadze hit the left-hand post of Peter Shilton. But here's Zavarov, and he passed when, had he been a little more aware of his position, he could have let the ball run on and gone on towards goal himself. Put away well by Mark Wright. Bubnov. Everything ahead of him, the Soviet central defender. Sansom in quickly on Gotsmanov, who then gives away the free kick for a push on Gordon Cowans. Bobby Robson has said that Steve Hodge will be used at some point in the game. Sansom, Beardsley, blocked by Chivadze, won back by Wilkins. Butcher saw Hoddle checking out on the far side. It's not natural for Glenn Hoddle to want to play too wide, but he's picked out Lineker, who now needs some support, and it comes in turn from Hoddle. Waddle's waiting on the far post from Hoddle's viewpoint, and he jumps, coming in over the top of Kuznetsov. Chris Waddle, who's scored in his last 4 First Division games for Spurs.
When the build-up is slower, like the previous occasion, and they have to, in the end, finish up with a high cross, that's the occasion when the type of system that England are playing lets themselves down. In early play, it's good to play to feet, but once the ball's around the box, a high cross is sometimes needed, and you need strength in the air.
Well, it was a shot by Zavarov that was, in the end, a pass to Gotsmanov. And Glenn Hoddle the first to react. And at the moment, the crowd slightly turning against the Soviet team. They certainly don't regard themselves as Russians in this part of the country. It's Georgia. And sometimes those from Moscow aren't always well received. And Oleg Blokhin, European Footballer of the Year, 1975, and the greatest Russian player of his generation. He is a Russian, perhaps waiting to come on as the match progresses. Terry Butcher, who's been talking fondly of the goal he scored with his right foot for Ipswich against West Bromwich Albion last Saturday, and lamenting the fact that the cameras weren't there. header from Bubnov. Demyanenko. Along from Alenikov, the running from Kondratiev, and the defending from Mark Wright for England. Demyanenko. Zavarov, maybe a shot here, but he's got to check back. Bessonov. England defending in numbers, and it's Sansom who comes away with it. Wilkins. England working well as a unit then. Hoddle. Hoddle again trying to make his run in on the opposite flank. Hoddle again. Now Lineker. Only Chris Waddle in the penalty area for England, but Cowan's trying to make a late run. It's Rodionov who was back to clear. Butcher. Chivadze, the sweeper. Well, Sansom finds the free kick given against him. Ken Sansom, his 23rd international in succession, a continuous thread through an ever-changing side. Chivadze. Away from Anderson. Only as far as Demyanenko. Although the crowd is around the 50,000 mark, one would think maybe more. You can hear almost every cry from the England bench. I would think, David, they'd be reasonably happy with what they're seeing.
Yeah, reasonably happy. I think that we need to get hold of the ball and just stop it a little bit and show a little bit of confidence and a little bit of composure in possession. Don't be in too much of a hurry. And the other point at this time is Wilkins sitting rather deep, and they're making one or two runs off him from the middle of the field. He's probably not the best marker, although he's a good holding player.
The applause for the work of Bubnov. Showing a good touch on the ground to get the better of Gary Lineker. Here's Wilkins. Anderson. Waddle, who has operated with a fair amount of freedom from one flank to the other. Beardsley. Now Wilkins with a surge of acceleration and no final ball to please him. Well, the number 5 shirt for Mexico certainly isn't decided who will wear it yet for sure, and Mark Wright another opportunity to stake his claim tonight after a rather unhappy match in Egypt. Butcher. Gotsmanov, who won the penalty that Chivadze missed. Here's Waddle. Hoddle's found himself in a central position for England. At the moment, there's no one really wide on the other side. Bessonov. Rodionov. It's a hard running, battling forward for Spartak of Moscow. Was the top scorer in the Soviet Supreme League 2 seasons ago. The top scorer last year, Oleg Protasov, who broke the scoring record, in fact, is out of the side, injured at the moment, although there are great hopes that he will be fit for Mexico. He played a league game at the weekend. Gotsmanov, that was ambitious. It's run all the way on for Demyanenko. Clearing header from Wilkins. And the tackle from Ray Wilkins with great determination too. Chivadze. Some 6 minutes of the first half remaining. Zavarov. Bubnov finding more time to join in coming forward. England's policy rather to retreat and hope to pick off passes rather than win the ball with stern tackling. Alenikov. Besonov. England hoping to keep their marking tight in the face of the player attacking them with the ball, who is Besonov. And Sansom is there. Savarov. And Ladykov. The Soviets keeping the ball neatly, but England forcing them to waste the final pass.
We've certainly backfilled in the spaces. There's only Beardsley and Lineker up the front. Waddle's working hard to get back in fill spaces to stop the Russians joining in. But what may happen is that we isolate Beardsley and Lineker, and that'll be a problem for us because Cowans and Wilkins aren't making the runs to support.
5 minutes of the first half remaining, and England holding the Soviet Union in their own backyard, so to speak. So this is the first full international in this stadium for exactly a year. Austria were the last visitors, and they were beaten 2-0. Beardsley. Chivadze concerned that he might have had to prevent a corner with the ball dropping off Kuznetsov. And showing his quality there, helped by Lednikov. Demyanenko. Good running to make himself available from Kondratiev. I'm sure the crowd would hope that Oleg Blokhin would be used in the second half. But they're saying here that he's in a similar stage of his career to Kenny Dalglish. He has the quality, but perhaps not the legs anymore. Sansom finding himself forward. It's all a little flat for England. And Sansom on a pitch that's quite well grassed, but not over flat, and the ball taking a bobble from time to time. It was noticeable in training. Both sides have had the opportunity to train on the surface. It's not always easy to strike the pass. Hoddle. Off Demyanenko. While England are into the last quarter, really, of a hard season, the Soviet season has only just begun. There have been 4 league matches for each club. This time it's Cowan's turn to miscue. Sansom. Lineker told to hold it, and then when he picked his pass, he rather showed his intention and got Smanov. Shilton hesitated and decided to make his way back and wasn't put to the test by Sergei Gotsmanov, the scorer of the first Soviet Union goal at Wembley in 1984.
Yeah, I mean, that move came about as a result of 2 miscontrolled balls by England players, really due to bobbles, and then a quick early pass to set him away down the right-hand side.
If England do get to half-time with a goalless scoreline, I would think they would be very satisfied. But certainly there have been some warning signs from the Soviet play with their speed on the break and their ability to support the forward player when he is found. Zavarov. Sanson. It's all a little tight in there for England, and Wilkins runs out of room. Gotsmanov. Besonov. It's quite a critical crowd here, and England could use that to their advantage if they can sustain their performance and add to the frustrations of the home supporters. We're inside the final minute of the first 45.
The Soviets have certainly upped the gear from the first 15 minutes when they were decidedly edgy. They've come on stronger, they've marked a little tighter, and they made it more difficult for England to make the passes.
And out of your picture, Steve Hodge is up and warming up, maybe to come on for the second half, but the first half has come to an end. No goals, 2 penalty incidents, one not given when Gary Lineker went down, one given for a foul by Anderson on Gotsmanov, but missed by Chibadze. We'll take a break and then join Brian Moore and Kevin Keegan with Mick Shannon in the studio for their comments. That's after the break.
The more I see you, the more I want you. Somehow this feeling just grows and grows. I know the only one for me can only be you. My arms won't free you.
The Peugeot 205, a great little car. Whichever way you look at it.
Peugeot, the lion goes from strength to strength.
It's from Agent Q. Bring out the Branston.
What does it mean?
Perhaps he's in a bit of a pickle.
Out the Branston bring.
A pickle indeed.
What mode of code lies in those fruity, tangy, chunky bits, so vital to victuals?
If he means what I think he means, we'll send Teddy.
Demand the best. Bring out the Branston. Only from Cross and Blackwell.
A fine way to spend our 30th wedding anniversary. We came here for our 20th anniversary.
No, we didn't, love. We stood at the bar.
John Smith's Yorkshire Bitter. It's what memories are made of. Imperial, famous brands doing famously. Fancy footwork from CMOD.
I've just discovered lager, the Terry's chocolate bar. Got chunks and hunks of Terry's taste, our better bar by far.
Oh, he's got a lager bar, he's all right. Let's hope he gives us all a bite.
It comes in milk or fruit and nut. I like 'em good and thick. So when I choose a chocolate bar, a lager's what I pick.
Oh, he had a lager bar? Definitely. Hey, look, he's got a bar for me.
Terry's lager, chunks and hunks of Terry's taste.
The fat of the land is what the countryside has always been about, because until now, we couldn't give you that real dairy taste without all that fat. But now there's a low-fat spread that does it. New Delight. High in buttermilk and low in butterfat, Delight has all the creamy taste that real buttermilk gives, but only half the fat of butter or margarine. Now, isn't it about time you enjoyed the taste of the country without the fat of the land?
There's one place you can count on for a delicious meal over the holiday, and that's Kentucky Fried Chicken.
The new Super Go-Bots are here, camouflaged as perfect road vehicles. Throttle becomes a super sleek BMW, supersized Go-Bot collectibles from Bandai.
And welcome back to you. 0-0 between Russia and England in Tbilisi. Kevin Keegan and Mike Shannon are here. Encouraging signs and worrying signs as well in a strange first half.
Well, I think it's very difficult. I suppose Mick feels the same way in some ways, although he's still playing. You don't want to become the critic. But personally, the thing that disappoints me as an ex-player now is that here's a team that's still not moulded yet for the World Cup. There's still a lot of grey areas in Bobby Robson's plans, he'll admit that. And yet there's no one gone and taken the game by storm and look like they're trying to burst a gut to get in an England side in Mexico. Now, I know they're playing away from home, and the Russians are not a bad side, but still, you're looking for something. They had a lot of territorial advantage. They've taken the game to the Russians, especially first 15 minutes, but no one has sort of gone and stamped their authority on the game.
I find that astonishing. I mean, the motivation must be tremendous.
I think the first 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, I thought, well, it's just a matter of when we were going to score. And I wanted the likes of Hoddle then, who for Spurs, and for Tottenham, he knocks these balls, he's positive. He hasn't passed it. He's passed one ball in the first half. He is a quality class player. Now, he's got to get out of the ball and start saying, give it me. I can knock these balls. I can open you up. I mean, the first 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, I thought it was just a matter of when we would score. And we stopped. I mean, I feel a little bit sorry for the two front players. They're not getting it quick enough. They're not getting early enough. But overall, I'd be a lot more disappointed if I was a Russian, that's for sure. Because, I mean, they're at home. You know, we've gone out there, and they don't look like scoring. They got a diabolical penalty. But, you know, overall, it's quite a solid performance, so...
Well, while you mention the penalties, in fact, you say they got a diabolical penalty. We, in fact, felt that we should have had a penalty a little earlier when Gary Lineker was brought down.
Well, that's probably why I think it was a diabolical penalty. But for me, this was a definite penalty. He's knocked it back the keeper. He's got the ball, and I tell you what, he would have scored there if he had stayed on his feet. And the keeper's brought him over. What do you think? You'd have wanted it.
Well, I'd have got a penalty there, no problem. I mean, you would as well. It was a penalty, no doubt about it, technically. The thing is, as a player, you always feel a bit aggrieved when they're against you because he was going nowhere with it. I don't agree. I don't think he would have scored. But that's beside the point. It was a penalty. But the other one, the other end, would be more worrying. Because, I mean, that was a definite penalty. And I mean, Viv Anderson got himself... Well, first of all, Mark Wright...
It's worrying why? Because of
that was the reason.
You can't gamble... Mark Wright can't gamble there. You know, it's not the place to do it. Now, Viv's tried everything. Viv Anderson tried everything not to give away a penalty, but it's too late then. The damage has been done. The lad's got wrong side of him. And you couldn't blame Viv because Mark Wright dived in. And as for a defender, that's a capital sin.
I said it was a diabolical penalty. It was a penalty, but, I mean, in the build-up to the penalty, Mark Wright threw himself in there for no reason, 5-10 yards outside his box. He's absolutely sold himself. You know, one of our main defenders. His job is to defend, number one. He got turned, the lads knocked it in, and it was a penalty. And fortunately for us, they missed it.
I mean, look at again at the Mark Wright indiscretion.
Well, I don't know where he's going there.
It doesn't have to dive in because, I mean, the lad's not going anywhere. That's where you jockey. I mean, but that is experience, and unfortunately, Mark Wright's been in and out the side, and he's probably still finding what I would say is his international legs.
That does seem to be a recurring problem, the central defence, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've got very strong views on that. I think we've got four players of equal ability, really. I don't think there's much to choose between Mark Wright, Terry Butcher, Alvin Martin and Terry Fenwick. But they're all four players are similar, aren't they? In that they're out-and-out stoppers. In English football, when you're pumping the long balls into the box, they're very much at home because they're good, they're strong, and they'll come right through you. But in these sort of games, what are they doing? They're playing little short balls now, and that's why, and I still believe this, someone like Brian Robson, wish we had two of them, we haven't, someone like Brian Robson, tucked in at the back there, would give them the confidence to go and do what they're good at, which is basically Just defend. They're
Kevin
not players.
Kevin likes a sweeper, see, but I think that our whole back four problem is I don't think the four of them work together. For me, I mean, they're four individuals. And never mind who you play there.
Yeah, but they're four international players, Mick, and they should, by now, they've been together long enough.
At club level, they're not. I mean, they've still got to be they've got to be a unit at club level, and they're